Welcome back to the Budget Gamer channel, where we bring you critical and in-depth reviews on just about every indie game we can get our hands on, and today we're going to be taking a look at Filament for the Nintendo Switch. And while I did want to cover this game a few weeks ago when it came out, I couldn't exactly justify throwing it in with our spooky Halloween theme as horror or suspense. But that being said, even though it is a pretty pure to definition puzzle game, it's not exactly without its mystery. As the game opens up, we're playing as a solo pilot who's forcing some overrides to his own security system to dock with another seemingly abandoned vessel. However, once getting on board the ship, we realize that there is a crew member in there, and somehow they managed to get locked in their own cockpit. And due to the finicky protocols in place, apparently they can only be released from the outside. And this is essentially where the player comes into the game. Once you board this other vessel, you're greeted by a bit of a monologue from whoever this stranded person may be, and you're pretty much told that it's going to be up to you to manage to navigate that ship's systems and hopefully free this stranded crew member. But as you walk through the halls of the ship itself, you realize that it is a little bit eerie that there is so much evidence of the previous crew and no previous crew to be found. You can find a lot of other things as you explore the ship though, such as personal effects, ID cards, and even ship logs that give you a lot of the backstory and explain a good bit about who the crew members were. But getting into the actual gameplay, Filament is probably one of the most deceptively simple puzzle games I've played in a very long time. And in all honesty, I'd probably have to throw it up there in the ranks of Baba Is You and Warlock's Castle. And if you haven't played either one of those, link in the reviews right there, just in case you're a puzzle gaming fan. But getting back to Filament, how it works out is as you explore the ship, you'll find different terminals, and each of these terminals houses 5 different puzzles. And all it really takes to solve a puzzle is walking along as a little light bulb on a cable, and dragging your little filament around a small room-like puzzle area to make sure it makes contact with certain pillars. And that's honestly pretty much it. And while the earlier puzzles seem like you're just kind of mindlessly threading the needle, it doesn't take but a few iterations of a puzzle for the difficulty to grow exponentially. You'll have to quite literally weave your way through mazes, making sure that your filament that you drag behind you and can't ever cross only contacts the right pylons, because as you get deeper into the game, certain pillars will be added that actually negate the effects of your filament. Other types of puzzles have been modified that it takes a certain number of contacts to fully light up a pylon, and even still other ones use colors and revolving formats. But no matter which version of any of these puzzles you may encounter, the basic game mechanics stay the same. You must tow a small cable around a maze to make contact with certain points in order to unlock the exit door to move on to the next puzzle. And this is totally one of those situations where it's easy to say, easy to learn but difficult to master. And so thankfully, in addition to being able to just hold B and reset the puzzle, there is a rewind feature allowing you to retrace your steps and try new avenues. But as some of these puzzles can get insanely difficult, there's also a help feature. So while the game is definitely very challenging, don't let it scare you off. Moving into the game's visuals and audio though, it is a beautifully put together game. As I've been reviewing games, it seems like most of these simple mechanic puzzle games are also very graphically simple, with 8, 16-bit graphics. And so it was actually kind of cool to find something that was such high resolution with such beautiful color palettes. Other than that, the audio soundtrack is really nice. It's melodic and orchestral and gives you this constantly revolving background ambiance that doesn't really distract you from the puzzles, but definitely keeps you feeling more free of any possible monotony. Because some of these puzzles will take you a long time to figure out. But moving on from the aesthetic appeal of the game, it's time to talk about some of its critiques. And in all honesty, I had to dig pretty deep to find any. Now, I am going to put a caveat on that. I am a huge puzzle gaming fan. I love puzzle games. They're what I grew up with. They're what I started with, and they're kind of my bread and butter as a gamer. That and open world RPGs. And so while I might not pick apart a puzzle game as hard as I would a roguelike or a platformer with floaty jumping mechanics or faulty hitboxes, at least in my own personal opinion, Filament is a really perfect puzzle game. There are quite literally hundreds of puzzles to solve, and they're not all the same. There's several different versions of this kind of filament puzzle scattered all throughout the ship, and they go in increasing difficulty, so the farther you get, the more challenge you have. And the difficulty curve may be steep, but it is linear. So with the addition of the help function or the hint function, it is a really well-balanced game. Other than that, even though it is a pure puzzler, it's not a pure puzzler. There's a story and a scenario going on. And with its beautiful graphics and its nice audio package and even professional voiceovers for the character you're trying to rescue, Filament doesn't feel like you're just sitting there trying to smash a puzzle into submission. It feels like you're actually playing a game. And that is something that a lot of more casual puzzle games really lack. But if you are planning to dive into Filament and play it for yourself, one word of caution. If you stay on the same track with the same puzzles, they will get really difficult and you might find yourself stuck on one for way too long. So try and remember that you can explore the rest of the ship even if you haven't completely finished one track of puzzles. And at least for me, that little bit of player autonomy in the progression of the game really kept it feeling fresh. So if you are a puzzle gaming fan, know that I'm about to throw the Filament review onto that must-have indie games playlist, because at least for me as a gamer, it is a must-have. But anyway, that does about wrap up the review of Filament now on the Nintendo Switch, so if you enjoyed the review, or especially if you found it helpful, feel free to throw me a like or a comment to show your support, and don't forget to click that little bell icon when you subscribe to stay updated with the latest content. There are new and unique indie games coming out literally every single day, and there's thousands of them out there. And so whether it's an easy hard pass or an absolutely unforgettable gem, chances are if it's on the Switch, you're gonna find out about it right here. But anyway, this has been The Budget Gamer, so as always, thanks for watching.